Social and emotional learning for first and second graders.
Hi, welcome back to Social and Emotional Learning for first and second graders on the Motivation Station. I'm Cassie Chang, and I am a Social and Emotional Learning Specialist with St. Lucie Public Schools. Before we get started with our topic for today, let's start with our emotional check-in. When we do our emotional check-in, we can stop, put our hand on our heart, and think about, how am I feeling right now? You can use 1 for happy, 2 for calm, 3 for sad, 4 for afraid. We start every episode off with a mindfulness practice. Let's get ready to do our mindfulness practice for today. Today's mindfulness practice will be called Kindness Tree. This is a movement-based practice. You are going to need a comfortable area with a couple feet around you where you can do some movement. I'm going to show you each of the movements one by one before we get started. Step 1. Stand tall like a mountain. Step 2. Cross your hands over your chest. Step 3. Lift your right foot. Step 4. Take one mindful breath as you slowly reach your generous branches out and let your kindness leaves blow with the wind. Grow gradually like a tree. Step 5. Return to mountain and try to balance on the left foot, and then repeat. Miles is going to help us out as we do the kindness tree together. I am a kindness tree. Pose 1. Pose 2. Pose 3. Pose 4. And 5.
I am a kindness tree.
Great job! Now let's review our last episode, Taking in the Good. In our last episode, we talked about the power of taking in the good, which is where we explore looking at the positive in a situation, how doing so will allow us to have a different experience, and also it will change how we feel about the situation. During the last episode, I asked you to think about some of the positive experiences that you have had since you have been learning from home. Continue to recognize those positive experiences each day. Building a Kindness Tree, Part 1. This week's topic is going to be a 2-part series where we talk about building a kindness tree. Now is a great time for us to practice habits, such as the habit of kindness. This is something that we can do while we're learning from home, and it will be a great habit that we continue when we do finally return to school with our friends and our teachers. Did you know that one act of kindness can spark more acts of kindness? How can one kind act cause other acts of kindness? Well, the same way that one domino can cause a chain reaction and knock over other dominoes. Watch how quickly this can happen. Go. What would happen if 7 people did one act of kindness every single day? That would add up to 49 acts of kindness in just 1 week. It would then grow to 210 acts of kindness in just 1 month. And finally, in 1 year, we would have 2,555 acts of kindness that started with 7 people. That's a lot of kind acts and a lot of joy. Gandhi said, "Be the change you want to see in the world." What do you think he meant? Take a moment and think about the statement by Gandhi. If you have someone with you, feel free to share your thoughts with that person and ask them what they think. When I think of the statement by Gandhi, I think he's trying to tell us that if we want to see more kindness in our world, then it starts with us also being kind. Since we have been learning from home and we've been practicing social distancing, we've been spending a lot of time with the people who we live with. I know for Miles and Layla, that can mean that sometimes they get frustrated with each other, and that can cause them to argue and maybe say some not so kind words out of frustration. Miles and Layla have started to learn that the more that they're kind to each other, the more that they're able to have enjoyable experiences and the less frustration and anger and overwhelm that they have. And it also makes their days a whole lot better. Let's see one of the opportunities that Miles had to show kindness to Layla. What's wrong, Layla?
It's okay, Layla. It's okay, Layla. Bubba knows how. I know how it feels to not be able to do something. Let me help you. Hold on.
After Miles was kind to Layla, that made Layla also want to be kinder to Miles as well as kind to others. That sparked the action of paying it forward. What does it mean to pay it forward? So an example of paying it forward when it comes to kindness is when someone does something nice for someone and that makes the person feel good and they decide that they want to go out and do other kind things for other people to give that same good feeling back. How can small acts lead to big change? Think about watering a plant. That's a very small act that only takes a minute or so, but over time, those small acts will add up as the plant continues to grow. The same can happen for acts of kindness. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Let's take a moment and review the social and emotional learning skills that we learned to add to our SEL toolbox. We learned a self-management skill through our mindfulness exercise. We practiced saying, "I am a kindness tree," as we did a 5-series kindness pose. We're going to do that one more time before we go. We also learned a social awareness skill as we looked at the power of kindness and how one act of kindness can spark more acts of kindness. And we talked about how important it is to practice kind habits while we are spending a lot of time indoors with the people that we live with. Before we go, let's do our mindful movement series. I am a kindness tree. One more. Stand tall like a mountain. Cross your hands over your chest. Lift your right foot. Take one mindful breath as you slowly reach your generous branches out and let your kindness leaves blow with the wind. Grow gradually like a tree. Return to mountain and try to balance on the left foot.
I am a kindness tree.
Thanks again. Now go out and start to practice kindness. And remember, you are amazing just the way you are.
Thank you.